Hi guys, so Dominic Raab, the Foreign Secretary, had some interesting comments, to say the least, when it came to the post-Brexit relationship the UK government will have with the Biden administration. And he also had some interesting comments about democracy. So let's hear what he had to say.
I absolutely accept that when it comes to coronavirus and climate change, as you've mentioned, we've got more in common with Joe Biden than Donald Trump. Are you concerned, though, that it might be a bit more tricky to do a trade deal with Joe Biden than it would have been with Donald Trump? Donald Trump, of course, has said that we would be at front of the queue because of the special relationship. He believes in Brexit. Joe Biden said that he would have voted Remain. And Joe Biden's also said that any trade deal between the US and UK must be contingent upon respect for the agreement, withdrawal agreement, and preventing the return of a hard border. It's going to be harder to do a trade deal with Joe Biden, isn't it?
I think we'll have to see, but look, let me tell you what I know from having been out to Washington and talked right through the Brexit process to people like Richie Neal and the Irish caucus, including many Democrats. We were able to give them positive reassurance when we signed the withdrawal agreement.
Okay, so when you signed the withdrawal agreement, you gave them reassurances. But the problem is not so much the withdrawal agreement. The problem is what your government did months later by introducing the internal market bill. Like, the EU never really had a problem with the withdrawal agreement. The US government, even under Donald Trump, the Congress in the US didn't have a problem with the withdrawal agreement. The only people who had a problem with the withdrawal agreement was your government, Boris Johnson's government. They had a problem with the withdrawal agreement after the fact that they had signed it, and decided to introduce the internal market bill. Now, as soon as that was presented to the European Union said, no, you can't do this. And the Americans in Congress, not Donald Trump, but Congress said, we have a problem with this. So when you're saying that you explained Brexit to them and you explained that you signed the withdrawal agreement, yes, that part is okay. I'm not sure about how he explained Brexit to them, but we'll leave that aside for now. But you signed up to the withdrawal agreement. Yes, you did. Then later you decided, actually, we're going to pick it apart. And they had a problem with it, along with the European Union. Now, also, when Sophy Ridge said about how Donald Trump said that the UK would be at the front of the queue, we have to remember that Barack Obama's administration, which probably will be emulated by Joe Biden, that administration, during the referendum for Brexit, said that if the UK left the European Union and they wanted a trade deal with the US, they would be at the back of the queue. Donald Trump said at the front of the queue. Barack Obama said at the back of the queue. Now, we haven't heard what Joe Biden is going to do, but we will have to wait and see.
I've been able to explain the UK position. We're the ones that have been unconditional in saying we'll never see any infrastructure put up at the border between the north and the south in Ireland. And we've, of course, listened to the concerns of our American friends. The Democrats feel very vested in the Good Friday Agreement. We understand that. We look back at the work of George Mitchell, Bill Clinton. But I think it's also fair to point out, as I've used those opportunities in Washington to do, that the EU is itself putting pressure on the Good Friday Agreement with the approach it's taken. So I'm sure
the EU is putting pressure on the Good Friday Agreement by the approach it's taken. What approach has it taken, Dominic Raab? You agreed. They had laid out their cards and said, this is what we're going to do. Is that okay with you? Boris Johnson agreed with it. He signed it. He brought it back to Parliament. The UK government created a bill called the Withdrawal Agreement Bill. It went through Parliament. It was signed into UK law. And then later you decided we actually have a problem with it. And you're saying the EU is the problem.
We'll have a sensible, common sense approach. And actually, when I look across the piece at the issues, I'm looking forward to the opportunities that we'll have, and I'm confident that the relationship between the UK and the US will thrive in the weeks and months ahead.
Now, last night you tweeted out congratulations to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, but you also said that some of the processes are still playing out. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's a statement of fact that we haven't had the formal statement by the Electoral College, and of course there are the appeals going on. And we've, I make no apology as Foreign Secretary for treading very sensitively.
Okay, so look, I don't know if this is really the case. So what has Dominic Raab written in these two tweets? So he wrote, while some of the processes are still playing out, it is now clear that Joe Biden has won. Congratulations to President-elect and Kamala Harris on their historic victory, which saw them win more votes than any candidate in US history. Now, this part at the beginning, this is what she's talking about. While some of the processes are still playing out. What did he mean by that exactly? Now, of course, he won't give an answer, but some people are suggesting that it was he didn't want to piss off Donald Trump too much. And you're going to see in a moment, I would have left it at that and said, okay, maybe it's just a misunderstanding. He's saying, look, I'm just waiting. We want to make sure that all the votes are counted or whatever, that everything is done above board. It seems everything is above board. But it does give the impression that he's somewhat protecting Donald Trump here. Now, you could say that's been maybe not so kind to Dominic Raab, not as kind as we should be. But what he says in a moment will reinforce that problem.
Carefully, whilst we waited for the clarity in the result. We got that clarity, and we offer the new administration, President-elect Biden, Vice President-elect Harris, our full support, and look forward to working with them in the future. But I think it's right that we're careful to respect the sensitivities and indeed the integrity of the US process. That's incumbent on me as Foreign Secretary.
You say you have to be careful and respect the sensitivities, but some would argue that's exactly what the tweet doesn't do, because, we've all heard Donald Trump allege that fraud has taken place, that the election's been stolen from him without evidence. Do you not accept that some might see that tweet as playing into those conspiracists?
No, I think that's a very partisan skew on it. The reality is we want to respect the integrity and the processes in place. It's not for us to start adjudicating on the appeals, the legal claims and the counterclaims. But what we have said, the result is now very clear. I think it's beyond reasonable doubt, in my view. And we welcome the new administration. We congratulate President-elect Biden, Vice President-elect Harris. And frankly, there are those that want to criticise the UK at this point in time, come what may, and whatever we say, whatever this government says. I'm going to focus on the substance. But I do think people complain about interference in our politics here. I think it's right to tread carefully and sensitively in relation to, particularly after what was clearly a very close election, far closer.
What are you talking about? So when he says that people were interfering in our politics, are you talking about Barack Obama interfering in the Brexit referendum? Are you talking about Donald Trump promoting Boris Johnson, basically when Boris Johnson was running in the last election? What are you talking about, Dominic?
Than the media or the pundits expected, and has been contentious in all sorts of ways. So we proceeded sensitively and carefully. We wanted to respect the process, but we look forward to working with the new administration.
Do you think that all votes should be counted in a democratic election?
Look, I'm not going to get drawn into opining on what is a different system in the US. What I can say...
What? Should all votes be counted in a general election, in a democratic process? And he can't say yes. What is wrong with you? The answer is yes. All votes should be counted. There is no argument here. Like, she didn't say America. I know that what he's trying to do is he's like, oh, I can't really answer that yes, because then I would appear to be throwing our good friend Donald Trump under a bus here. But no, the answer is yes. Let's park Donald Trump in the US for a moment. If the question was about votes in a parliament in Iceland, should all votes in that democratic process be counted? The answer is yes. If it was in Japan, yes. South Africa, yes. Brazil, yes. Norway, yes. Why do you have to add some sort of caveat here? Why do you have to complicate the answer? The answer is very simple. Yes. This is insane. How can you qualify this? Oh, look, I know that you're going to talk about America, but no, the answer is yes.
And I said from the outset...
Hang on, sorry. The question is, do you think all votes should be counted in a democratic election? I find it astonishing there's not an answer to that.
Well, because what you're going to... If I say yes and there's an appeal that goes one way, I mean, we know, for example, there's going...
But that's not... An appeal is not... My God, he's saying, if I had said yes and appeal went another way... No, but that's irrelevant. Should votes be counted in a democratic process? The answer is yes. Whether somebody appeals it and it changes, that's irrelevant to your answer. We don't care what happens later. We want to know your answer. And the reason that Dominic Raab is not answering the question here or trying to qualify it in some way is because for some reason the UK government seem to be held to some account by Donald Trump. They're afraid to actually piss off Donald Trump in some way by actually saying, yes, the election, a democratic process should be followed. Votes should be counted. Like, I know Brexiteers and people on the right are saying, oh, well, what about, Donald Trump is, the election has been stolen from him. Let's just park that for a moment. Let's take another country, Iceland, for example. Do you think in a democratic process in Iceland, all the votes should be counted? Yes or no? If you say no, and you have to add some sort of caveat, then you're not a Democrat. And I mean that with a small d. You don't care about democracy. In the same way, in the US, all votes should be counted. Why not?
Going to be recounts. Okay, we know that in relation to some of the state seats, we know in relation to some of the Senate seats, but we can also say that the result is...
Whether things are recounted is irrelevant. The answer is, should the votes be counted? Yes, they should. How Dominic Raab can't answer that question is extremely worrying. He's basically saying, yeah, democracy is correct, but not always. It's okay when it's in other countries, but when it's in countries that are aligned with us or where, we still have some hope. Is he still hoping that Donald Trump wins? Really? Does he believe that there's still a chance that Donald Trump can win and that's why they're avoiding the answer? Donald Trump has lost. It's over. Does Donald Trump still have some hold over Dominic Raab or Boris Johnson? Because he has to answer the question in a very qualified way.
It's clear now, and I don't think that's preempting those other processes, which is exactly why I said we should tread sensitively to respect the integrity of the process. And we've always said, and I've been very clear all week, we're very confident the checks and balances in the US system that will produce a definitive result. And I think we've got one now.
But I'm not asking about appeals. I'm not asking about checks and balances. I'm literally just saying...
You can see, if you look at his body language, he's like, oh, crap. Why are you continuing with this question? Can't we talk about something else?
Should all votes be counted in a democratic election?
Look, in principle, yes, of course. But what I'm not going to get drawn in...
In principle? What do you mean in principle? Yes or no?
Why didn't you just say that then?
Because what you're really trying to do, Sophie, is drag me in to the legal claims about whether or not all the votes have properly been counted when you look at the mail votes, the votes in person, and the claim...
What a disaster. Why are you trying to defend Donald Trump here? Why are you buying into Donald Trump's conspiracy theories? Like... You are the foreign secretary of a foreign state. You're the foreign secretary of the UK. You don't need to defend Donald Trump here. You don't need to defend his supporters. You don't need to go down that road, Dominic. You're not a US politician. You're not a Republican. I could understand if a Republican was saying this, and actually doesn't seem to be the case now because a lot of them have abandoned Donald Trump. But you have the foreign secretary of a foreign country basically defending the conspiracy theories that Donald Trump has been peddling over the last number of days, that the dead people have been voting, and and boxes with Democrat votes stuck on the side were smuggled in the middle of the night to top up Joe Biden's requirements to reach the threshold. This is insanity, and you have the foreign secretary engaging in it. The simple answer, Dominic, is yes, of course, all votes must be counted. Now, what happens after that is the US's business, but we, as a democratic country, want other countries to act in a democratic way.
That have been made, for example, about the posted military ballots. So I just don't want to get sucked into that. We've got to clear it.
I'm not trying to suck you into anything with respect, Mr. Raab. I'm just trying to ask. The reason I'm asking the question is because the Prime Minister's spokesperson wouldn't say that all votes should be counted in a democratic election early this week, which, frankly, I find quite astonishing. And I was just...
And so do I. How could the Prime Minister's spokesperson not be able to answer that question? The answer is yes. But once again, this is extremely worrying. How is it possible that the Prime Minister's spokesperson, the Foreign Secretary, is in some way afraid to upset Donald Trump? Why are they afraid of Donald Trump? Donald Trump is a lame duck now. Donald Trump's power is dissipating. They're afraid still of... We better not say, we care about democracy, because that's going to annoy Donald Trump. How is that possible?
I was wondering if you would say the same thing. It's obviously you're reluctant to as well.
No, your next question will be, well, if all votes should be counted, and we haven't had all votes counted, why are you welcoming the new administration? And the reality is the result now is clear.
That's not the... What is wrong with this man? The question is, do you think all votes should be counted? And the answer is yes. But that doesn't... But if the reason... Oh my God. The reason Joe Biden has won, even though all the votes in those states haven't finished being counted, is because he has reached a majority of the votes in those states. So any remaining votes to be counted will not change the result. For example, if Joe Biden had a majority in Georgia, for example, of 10,000 votes over Donald Trump, and there were remaining 5,000 votes to be counted, then it's impossible for those 5,000 votes, even if Donald Trump won all of them, it would not change the result. That's why the Associated Press called those states for those particular candidates. Donald Trump won some before the vote was fully counted, and Joe Biden won some. It's not very difficult to understand, and this is nothing to do with all votes should be counted.
None of the other processes which I've referred to, which are ongoing, will affect, I think, the outcome of this race.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disingenuous here. I don't mean to be degrading, but if I can understand this, surely Dominic Raab can understand this. He's the Foreign Secretary. I don't think it's something difficult to understand. Either Dominic Raab doesn't understand this, which is extremely worrying, or he does understand this, but he's somehow defending Donald Trump. That's equally worrying.
And I think that's the approach that people have taken in the United States, and that's the approach the UK has taken, along with other international leaders.
Genuinely, that wasn't going to be my next question. I was assuming that you would say yes to that question.
Sophy Ridge, I don't know what she's getting paid, but it's not enough. Once again, it's this is hilarious. The idea that the foreign secretary is like he thinks he's being smart by I'm preempting your questions, and look, see, I preempted your questions. She's like, no, that wasn't my question.
Well, look, then someone else will say, well, why aren't we waiting for all the votes to be counted in, including all the reruns and the recounts before we...
Because that's separate. Oh my god, I have to finish here. Look, guys, I'll leave a link to the full video in the description. But once again, this comes down to somebody who's the foreign secretary who either doesn't understand how the process works, which is not very... Look, I understand how people vote can be complicated, you know, how the tallies are calculated maybe is complicated, but I don't think all of it together on a very high level is difficult to understand. Now, he either doesn't understand or he is deliberately pretending not to understand in order to defend Donald Trump in some way. And I really don't understand why he and Boris Johnson and his administration are somehow feeling the need to defend Donald Trump. Do they feel that they can get something out of him before he finishes his term? Let me know in the comment section if you have an idea of what the hell is going on, guys, because I do not. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.